Welcome to the In My Opinion Show with Ronald Barrington Robinson and friends. Seen on the internet 24 hours, 7 days a week. We want to welcome our viewers around the world. I want to introduce our very talented co-host, Ms. Jackie Williams.
Hello, everyone.
And Mr. Henry Hatter.
Hi, Jackie.
Let's talk about Michael Bloomberg, former mayor of New York, a billionaire, runs for president. Folks, this same mid-billionaire, he was the mayor of New York City for 15 years. He instituted stop and frisk. And over that time in office, he stopped and frisked, him and his people, 5 million people or more, mostly blacks and Hispanics. Now he wants to be president. And then he's also saying he's sorry. Sorry just doesn't get it, okay? He had 15 years, all right, to correct that behavior, but he didn't. Now that he's running for president, okay, the most highest position in the country, oh, I made a mistake, I'm sorry. That's bull crap. Almost made me say it. Henry, what is your thoughts?
Well, I think I like Bloomberg. I can get along with Bloomberg as easily as I can get along with any other millionaire or any other Democrat that wins the president. As long as that person is elected by the plurality of the American people in good taste. Because the Constitution intended only for one perspective of an issue to rise, and that is when we elect the president, whatever side wins becomes the leader of this country. We cannot have two sides bickering back and forth, trying to undo what the people has decided. Now, in this case, and parenthetically, I want to talk about the situation that's going on in the United States right now, and this is part of the problem. And the resistance of Republicans and the support the Republicans have for Trump, because Trump is supposedly being undone because people thought they didn't want him to be president. They didn't like him to be president, including they want to destroy the Electoral College for the same reason. They make all kinds of reasons why they need to get rid of Trump. Trump is a person, and why I believe that they want to get rid of Trump, and this is in the literature, and this is what is thought, is that many people thought that Mrs. Clinton should be president. And people argue, well, they don't want a woman president. That's not true. We could have lived with a woman as easy as we could have lived with a man. So this fight is endured until many people who were on middle grounds now have shifted over and support the side of Trump. Of course, they vacillated back and forth. Democrats have shifted over, and blacks have risen to take issues on that. But we will see this brought to a conclusion by the end of this year.
Okay, Mr. Bloomberg, in my opinion, is a racist.
Any more than Trump?
Okay. Well, right now we're talking about Bloomberg, okay, the billionaire, all right, that was the mayor of New York all of those years, and why should we forgive him for his racist
yes, you should.
Scheme?
He's a Democrat.
Well, it doesn't make any difference.
That's your inspiration.
No.
For voting Democratic.
No, there's no inspiration for a
he represents the platform.
There is no inspiration for a racist, in my opinion, period. Okay? 15 years, people, this man, all right, was disenfranchising human beings in New York City. Okay? Again, as I said before, he had every opportunity to change that ideology, but he didn't. Now he wants the nation and the world, okay, to think he's a good guy. Not, in my opinion, not. And we have to come together okay, and fight this unjust stuff. Okay, regardless of who's in power, whether it's Trump, Bloomberg, or whomever, we've got to, especially us minorities, we've got to fight this stuff with everything that everything that we have, or it's going to continue. Now, people might say, oh, you're playing a race card. No, I'm not. The race card has been out there for years. Okay, ever since 1719, when the first slaves were brought to America. All right, we gotta stop this stuff, and the only one of the reasons that we can stop this is through education. Truth's got to get back into the schools. All right, because every day we're finding out where minorities, all right, developed certain things, whether it's medicine, mechanics, aerospace stuff, and who was the first person to the North Pole. Truth needs to be told in these schools, okay, instead of all of these white lies that are being taught. Okay, and it's a shame. It's a shame. You don't have to take my word for it. If you got a question, go on the internet and find out yourself. Go to your nearest library and find out. Do some research, okay? Do some research. Don't go along just to get along. Oh, well, I know this guy and I know or her and they wouldn't lie. That's not necessarily the truth. You find we're not clones. You get out there and find your own. Find it out yourself. Now, back to Mr. Bloomberg.
May I have a point?
Sure.
Now that you mentioned race here, again, why do you want to take issue with Bloomberg and his racism, or as far as that goes, Trump and his racism, when in 32 years, Hispanics and African Americans will be the arithmetic and political majority of this country without firing a shot?
That's then, in 30-some years. We're talking about the present and the future.
Well, we will get there without firing a shot.
I'm going to throw you a lifeline. Let me go ahead and get my thoughts. You're going to talk about the paradigm shift? Okay, go ahead.
Paradigm shift. We're going to have that. And we're making progress every day.
Of course we are, but there's no point kicking the can down the road all the time either.
Yeah, I know. You got a point there, but why create hassle when we could formulate a strategy where we merge into responsibilities that we will have to govern the most powerful country in the world?
Well, one thing, Mr. Hatter, in my opinion, all right, we've been lied to so much. We're still waiting on that 40 acres in a mule. Okay. Now, enough is enough. Okay, we've been working at this for 400 years. So if we don't, the chicken's got to come home to roost.
They can have the 40 acres and a mule. I'm attractive.
I'll take mine. So let me just say, on Bloomberg, I don't know a lot about him. I did read a little bit about him, and to your point, I remember the words, I believe it's Maya Angelou, that says that when somebody show you who they are, believe them. And so if he did this during his administration as the mayor of New York, and he had no regret, because regret comes after a year or 2 years, but 15 years, that means I'm standing on my decision. So just because you decided to run for the presidency doesn't mean that you changed who you are. You just changed what you're going for. So you still are who you are. So people need to remember that. The other thing is that we have to really govern ourselves accordingly when it comes to people getting in races because they have money. Money can't buy everything. And I don't know about you guys, but I'm not for sale. So I'm not interested just because you're a millionaire that you think you can soothe all the issues that we have, because everybody else has gone out and they've been campaigning and they've been doing all these different things, and you did not, because you didn't want to do that part. So what does that say about who you are? That says that you feel as though you can be elevated into position because of who you are, and you don't have to do the work. Well, I'd rather somebody do the work so I can know that they can do it. and they're looking out for everybody, not just your group. I mean, what millionaire do you know that's just going to door or doing? They said that he's not even getting the response. He spent $60 million. Did you know that in ads? And his numbers is still 0 to 1%.
Why are we talking about him?
I don't want to talk about him.
He's irrelevant.
He is to me. You said he was your friend.
Yeah, I said he could. Well,
yeah.
I didn't say he was my friend.
You said you like him.
Be. Yeah, I like him just like I like any other candidate.
No, don't try.
And I said I could live under him as well as any Democrat or any other person elected.
He's irrelevant. I like what you said.
By the people of the United States.
Oh, bless your heart. You said he's irrelevant. Okay. I just wanted to make that point. That's all I have to say about him.
Don't make a mountain out of a molehill.
But I do want to correct you. I do want to correct you
don't
when you
attack everything.
No, I'm not attacking everything, but I do want to clarify because we tend to have facts incorrect. You know. I have to make sure I keep you straight.
Yeah, okay.
So I want to just say, I can't speak on behalf of many other people, but I can speak on behalf of Jackie.
Mm-hmm.
Trump, I don't dislike him because he beat Hillary Clinton. Has nothing to do with it. I'm like you. I'm big enough to deal with whatever decision was made. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about, I think that he's unfit for the office of the presidency. This is the highest office in the nation, United States, for us. And so this person is supposed to resemble all, not just a select group, not your base, but everyone. And he does not. And also he's abusive. What president is just so abusive where he's calling people out of their names? Because this is what I'm talking about. Healing of America. Because of him, we have to heal America, because he'll go after people. He'll go after your parents. He'll go after veterans. He'll go after people that's still serving. He doesn't care. That is not what the office requires. It requires somebody to hold it up in the highest regards, meaning don't fall and don't get distracted by things going around. Still remain who you are. And then he violates all norms of president. Now because he's gotten in all this trouble, he's changed all the rules. It is going to be so hard to go back and have actual records from this administration. Do you know why? Because he doesn't allow press conferences. He get mad at you. He'll take your press pass. He's just like a little kid with a pacifier. As long as you got it poked in his mouth, and then as soon as you take it out, he's whining. Because if he can't have his way, it's no way. So he's not serving on behalf of the people. He's serving on his own behalf. And if you can't see that, just look at how he does stuff. As long as you're doing what he wants you to do, he has surrounded himself not with professionals and of the different fields that he needs to surround himself with when he's making decisions and all that. He's surrounded himself with yes people that would agree with him regardless of if he's right or wrong. Those are the people that he surrounds himself with. And it tells you, if you are the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room.
Well, he chooses his own. That's his prerogative. How he wants to line up his cabinet, that's his prerogative. Not yours, not the American people, that's his. They gave him the right to do that. And if he made some bad choices, and yes, he has. He's made some bad choices in the past. And he'll admit that. But he has a vision that we don't see. And
do he see it?
Well, don't ask me questions I can't possibly answer. But I know that and we all know that he has a vision. He has a vision to make sure that we have jobs in this country for Americans, to make sure that we have space for them, make sure that we have tax dollars to feed their education and to create jobs.
I'm glad you said that. Do you know that the United States have we have the least amount of tax dollars brought in since the tax cut? Did you know that?
Oh,
our revenue is below everyone's. Did you know that?
No, I don't know.
Yes.
We're still
they
the
just
richest country
reported
in the
that.
world, and we may have. That's because of deficits that we have. We sell less to other countries now than we used to.
And we can thank your president for that.
We used to be the most powerful nation in the world, built at one time 75% of the consumer goods and services in the world. We have continuously lost that. We probably built 30 to 25% of the world's consumer goods today, and we're continuously losing it. And eventually, in 10 to 20 years, China will take over as the world's most prosperous nation. There's no way that you can stop that, just based on numbers only.
Let's talk about the breaking news. U.S. House of Representatives have approved 2 Trump impeachment charges. Now, that's terrible. He's the 4th president. There was Andrew Johnson, Nixon, Clinton, and now Trump. Now, Article 2, Section 4 of the Constitution stipulates that a president shall be removed from office on impeachment for treason, bribery, or other high crimes and misdemeanors. Well, hell, he should have been dismissed from office 2 years ago. This man has from published reports, has told American people over 20,000 lies.
That's not treason.
Okay, I'm not saying it is.
It's just not right.
I'm just saying it's not honest, okay? And somebody said vision. Trump's got about as much vision as Stevie Wonder, okay, who is blind.
Well, your vision is not his. He's looking at it from the standpoint of being the head of the country. The intelligence part of the body. That's his vision is laid
The intelligence part is gone.
Based upon what he knows and the people that he's surrounded by, and what the Constitution will allow him to do. So we don't share those same values as he does, as he looks out over the horizon and looks at the vision. Now, as far as I see, part of the vision, I'll repeat again, is to make sure that all Americans have jobs in the future, that they're free from outside influences, that
outside
influences from
China and Russia, you mean?
No, attack from other countries and stuff like that.
Okay.
And that we provide money to education, and we try to educate our population. Those are things that we need to do in a very, very aggressive way. We need to restore education. We used to be the world's greatest, not only powerful nation, but the greatest educator, the greatest inventor, had the greatest amount of money for redistribution to the poor and to the middle class. Mm-hmm. We don't have that anymore. I think you guys will resonate at that. You don't have that. No other country had that kind of prerogative than the United States. That's why the immigrants are attracted here. And they will move here to displace you if you would leave. But nobody wants to leave. Think about it.
Oh, yes, they do. Yes, they do.
Well,
they want to leave.
That was a movie actor said that he was going to Canada if Trump won. And he's still here breathing good air.
You know what I mean? I don't know about good air, but it's still it's a lot of tens of thousands are hitting the Canadian border, as you said, and other places around the world. Okay, I'm just hoping things. Well, you're talking about education.
Yes.
Well, first of all, they need to get rid of that idiot up there in Grand Rapids, Betsy DeVos.
Betsy DeVos is good for the country.
No, she's an idiot. Yeah. Okay. She got the job because she gave Trump $1 million or more for.
No, she had the money.
You know what I mean? That's why she gave it. That's why she gave it to him.
Oh, okay? Well, she had a right to give her money to the.
She's not doing the country justice for her position. Her position is supposed to protect the education system.
What's she doing wrong?
I'm getting ready to tell you. Can I finish? Can I finish? Can I finish? This is like the root.
One or two things that she's doing wrong.
First thing, they awarded all of the people that attended ITT and universities for profit total debt release from all of the student loans that they had for her. For them. She did not release them. She still garnished those people's checks. She still took their taxes. And so the judge said if he could put her in jail, he would, because she deliberately did not do what she was supposed to do, because they lost that fair-handed, and she know it. She's supposed to protect the education system, not the people of the schools that run the schools for profit. So she has not. So that's one thing she did not do. Secondly, they said her plan, she doesn't really have a plan, because people are stepping down, because she is just pretty much winging it. And her whole purpose is to redirect funding for charter schools and nonprofit, and for Catholic schools, private schools, instead of pouring into the public schools the money that needs to go there. So she's not focused on that. She's focused on redistributing the funding. So those are the two things. If she could clear those two up, and which are big, because like I said, there were people that she continued to garnish their checks, take their income taxes, when the judge said that they had a motion that she was supposed to return that and free them of the debt, and she would not do it because there were people that she knew.
I don't think this is an issue that we should be arguing, but I'd like to make a couple points here. Betsy DeVos has to evaluate what when she gets the money back to the public, and it's over an argument that's not clear, she has to make sure that she does not create more of a problem in some other direction than she would do otherwise. So I know a lot about Betsy DeVos. Betsy DeVos at one time would like to see the non-public schools address the issue of Black Americans, who said that public schools no longer represented them, that they did not derive much from them, they were more of a detriment. And she created the concept of schools of choice and allowed for people to get stipends from the government. In other words, people could draw down their money and direct it to the parent, and the parent would choose the right kind of school that they wanted their kids to go to. It could be any school in the United States. That was Betsy DeVos. Well, many teachers didn't like that. Many public policy people didn't like it because it was drawing money down from the public education system. And the public education system, if you ever read A Nation at Risk, was defunct, and it wasn't operating properly. And the face of education become how well public schools in urban areas did. And they were tremendous failures. But we don't talk about that, because you have to talk about race and gender.
You have to talk about race and gender in conversations like this here, okay?
Well,
because
people won't do it.
Because she has alone almost decimated, okay, the historical Black colleges and universities.
She didn't do that.
Okay, no, absolutely.
No,
okay?
She didn't do that.
Because she's taken all kinds of millions of dollars of funding, okay, to go into private schools and charter schools.
But she
and
didn't
stuff.
do that for.
And she's decimated.
Like colleges. Like colleges don't take public money.
Yes, they do.
No.
And she for public education,
they take grants.
She's decimated. Well, that too. She's decimated these schools. Okay, all around the country. Okay.
But Black colleges were never in the discussion.
No, what she did is, one of the big things that has happened under her for the last 3 years, when she did the school of choice, and I'm glad you brought that up, when she did the school of choice, what happens is all the schools are drying up. So that means that where your tax dollars are going to have a school, that area is drying up. So that means that it shows you in real estate that you're not able to really sell houses like you should be able to.
They follow.
As part, because you're not able to sell the houses if you don't have a. So this is what it's doing. It's drawing all the people to the good schools, and then the rest of the neighborhoods are going to hell in that basket. You know what I mean? And that's not fair.
Well, people have inundated talented, well-intended students for many years. They've been neglected. We say, oh, we want to give education to everybody. Well, I'm not sure whether that is any longer valid in the United States. At one time, we thought that it was a good thing to offer everybody a public education and a college education. That's no longer true. We don't have the dollars to support that kind of education system in the country anymore. And you can see how resistant, even Lansing. Lansing right now is $650 million lower than the education fund should be right now. They take the money and distribute it to roads and to police protections and everything, when it should be delivered to public education. You will never have a free and democratic society without a good educated population.
And I agree. And okay, so not just are they diverting the funds for the roads, they also are doing it for the lottery is supposed to go to education.
The lottery has never been, probably the lottery only put about 10 to 15% toward education. It's never been a big one. Now, right now, they say that they've contributed $20 billion to education. Do you know what the education budget is for Michigan for just 1 year? It's $15 billion. Now, since 1968, whenever the lottery came out, about that time, they contributed $20 billion. And for 1 year, the education budget for Michigan is $15 billion. 3/4 of what they say they've collected.
But look at how many hands is in a pot now. You have charter schools' hands is in a pot. You got private schools' hands is in a pot, and then you got public schools. Then you have areas where you have the elementary schools that are in areas that are not getting the taxes to be able to substantiate the schools. Okay, I don't live in Flint. I live in Grand Blanc. So guess what they have? They're taxing us to death. So our schools are in good shape, because they're taxing us, and our property can sustain our education.
And that's fair enough.
You know what I mean?
If you are getting the tax dollar, you have the job,
right,
and you have more money than the poor people, you should be given.
But it's not. But there should be something that bridges the gap. Is what I'm saying. There should be something that bridges the gap. And if you're such a good leader, you should come up with ways to be able to facilitate how you can bridge the gap. Where if I don't live in a good neighborhood, you still can go to school in my neighborhood, so we can keep up the property, so people are still paying taxes. Because what you're doing is you're drawing everybody to the suburbs. When you draw everybody to the suburbs, there's no revenue in Flint to be able to sustain the expenses that requires to be paid here.
But this is the center of commerce, the city of Flint. If we work well together, got good leadership, we can overcome that deficit, that gap there. But we don't have any of that.
But you steady got,
but you got to have a person that brings jobs into, which the former mayor did not do. We didn't get enough jobs in. We dwelled too much on water and stuff like that. We brought in the movie stars, and they acted out their scenes here. And still the kids are in dire need.
But that's a good point. So we do have some, like if you go downtown, you do have like a lot of different businesses that are popping up. But what it is we give them such a tax break that it doesn't help us.
No, we have to do that.
I understand you give a tax break, but you can't give them you can't give it to them free. You got businesses that did come here.
And see, this is what Betsy DeVos is about. She's a prude woman. She knows how you got to trade out stuff to get.
How she know that? How can you be over education and you don't have an education yourself?
Oh, she has an education.
No, she does not.
She may not be.
No, she does not, Henry.
I don't believe that.
With that, we must bring the In My Opinion show to a close. But for Betsy Ross, you keep your ass up there in Grand Rapids and sell soap.
No, it's okay. Betsy DeVos, not Betsy Ross. Created the flag for the United States. You guys, please.
Betsy DeVos, keep your butt up there in Grand Rapids and sell soap. Okay?
I'm sorry, folks.
This is this is Ronald Barrington Robinson and friends saying so long until next time. Stay focused.